welcome to our tiny house kitchen. Today we're going to take a walk through the kitchen and I'll show you inside all our cupboards and show you all our appliances. So let's get started. So when you first come into our tiny house, at the end of our bench is our drop zone. So we had these shelves custom made so that we could have our keys here. We have our one charging point for the kitchen, so this is the only charging point we have for the entire kitchen outside of our microwave space and fridge space. Some decorative items on the second shelf here, and down the bottom is where we keep our dog Indy's bowls so she can have her food and water accessible at all times, but it stays out of the way of our feet. Moving up to the cabinetry above. So this here is where we keep our appliances. So we have a slow cooker, our coffee grinder, and our Kenwood blender, and two large bowls. Moving back down to our kitchen bench top here. So this is where the bulk of our bench top is. We keep our coffee machine here, right next to our PowerPoint obviously, and this is also the breakfast bar. So we have our bar stools here. We have the two of them. These are quite difficult to source because the space is not quite standard sizing. So we had to get narrow based chairs so that they were able to have gaps between them, and they needed to be quite low. So these were a good find, thankfully. They were bright yellow when we got them. We just had to sand down the tops. Now, one of our favorite things for the kitchen is this drawer here. So this is where we keep all of our electronics and our notebooks, stationery, and all of our remotes. So it just keeps the countertop clear from any clutter. Moving back up to the top cabinetry. This is all of our plates, bowls, and a quiche bowl as well, and all of our plastic containers. Moving along here, this is where we house our coffee cups, our glassware. We've got our vitamins and our protein powders over here. We have some extra tea, some chocolate spread, and just some extra glass jars over there. We also hang out cups and spoons for baking over there. If you look under the cabinetry here, what we've added is an LED light, which might be a bit hard to see. So that was something we did after the build, and that's just something from IKEA. So we've just installed a little switch here, and that's what we use for almost all of our nighttime lighting. So it's got a really soft yellow glow, lights up the whole house without being too bright and stark. So we use that as our main source of light at night. These drawers are push to open, and that's where we keep all of our herbs, spices, and a few other bits and pieces that we don't reach for regularly. Very important in a tiny house is your exhaust fan for when you're cooking. So ours just pulls out, and then you can adjust the speed of the fan. And it also has some lights there as well, which is also quite nice to have. Moving down, over here is where we keep our salt and pepper, our commonly reached for wooden utensils, our garlic, and then all of our fresh eggs that we get from our beautiful chickens. We have a basil plant here, and then these tiles here, which you would have seen in the drop zone as well, are just a self-adhesive tic-tac tile. Because the house moves, we couldn't use your traditional tiles because they would crack. These look really nice. They clean fairly easily, and they were quite easy to apply, so we're happy with them. Moving on now to our stovetop. So we've got a 2-burner gas stovetop here. A few weeks before we had Living Big in a Tiny House come and do a shoot with us, I was boiling the kettle to make a pot of coffee, and I had grabbed some chicken food off of the bench and pushed a plastic container against the kettle without realising. I then went outside and left the stove unattended, and it caught alight. We burnt a nice big hole in our bench top, which cost $1,000 to replace. It was only a week before filming. So lesson learned. Learn from me. Make sure you are safe with your fire when you've got that flame exposed. Moving down, we have our oven over here. So this, I believe, is a 600 wide oven. It's also gas. Works really well. We love it. We use it for making toast, making roasts, warming up dishes, general baking, and have had no issues. Here is our pull-out pantry. So we love this. This was also something that we added as a custom item initially. Great for storage. We have more storage in here than we have in our previous traditional home pantry. The pull-out feature means that you can see everything that you need. No looking in the back of shelves that are dark and dingy, except for the top shelf up here, which is quite difficult to reach. So what we do is we keep all of Greg's coffee items up there. So he has cold drips and I don't know, these other brewing systems, so they all go up there. They're less frequently reached for. What we have found is you sometimes need to access the other side, which means you step into the bathroom to be able to access this side. So that's not generally an issue with us, so no issues there. Moving down to the lower cabinetries. So underneath this oven here, we have another pull-out drawer. In here we just house a few baking items, some extra jars, some water bottles. It's quite shallow, but surprisingly we fit a fair amount in there. Moving over here to the 3 drawers that we have. We have our top drawer, which houses all of our utensils, and it also serves as our junk drawer. Second drawer houses our utensils, grater, some extra teas, coffee cups, and our protein shakers as well. So these are really nice and deep, which means you can store large items in there, which is really nice. And then our final drawer here has our only pots and pans. So we have 1 pan and 2 pots, and that's all we use. And we have been doing so for nearly a year and a half with no issues. Moving over to our sink. So one of the must-haves for our build with me was I wanted a farmhouse sink. So we initially wanted one with, I think they call it an apron, where it overhangs on the end of the cabinetry, but that was a little bit out of our price range, so we went with this one. We love it. We have a really nice black tap here that swivels and pulls out. Has 2 functions, so your normal tap water, and then you can make it a spray tap as well. So that's really nice to be able to rinse out the bowl. We add water to our chicken feed, so that's really nice to be able to do that with that as well. Moving to the cupboard underneath the sink. So this is an awkward space to work with, but we've made it work really well. We have just I believe it's a magazine holder that we've attached to the door, which keeps all of our paper bags. We've got reusable silicone baking sheets in here as well. And then we also hang our cleaning utensils up on here so that they dry out and don't go moldy. Inside the cupboard itself, we've got these pull-out bins from IKEA. So the front one's for our recycling. The back one is for our general rubbish. We also have a fire blanket over here, which is very useful for my fire tendencies there. In this yellow container, we keep our compost before we take it out to the worm farm or the compost heap. We have this drying rack here, which I think you see in quite a few tiny houses now anyway. And then this is just attached here, this basket, using some screws. And in here we keep all of our cleaning cloths and our tea towels. We also have just your general cleaning items and our 1 bottle of champagne in the back there. This side of the kitchen tends to be mainly our wardrobe, which I'll show you in another video. But on this side we do have our fridge. It's smaller than most people's fridges in their traditional homes, but it's the same fridge that we had in our previous house, and it works well for us. So the top section here is our fridge, plenty of space for all of our fruit and veg and meals that we've prepped. And then down the bottom here we have a large freezer space, which is very important to us as well. Down the sides we utilize all the space that we have, being in a small area. Greg and I both work from home. Ooh, whoopsie. So we use these laptop tables. So we each have one of these, and they're housed either side of the fridge in this gap over here. Easy to access and out of the way. We also have our oven mitts over here. They just hang on a hook on the fridge. And we also keep our sieve over here. So the sieve is quite a large, bulky item. We use it for when we're harvesting our honey and then for all our fruit and veg. So that just sits wedged in here. Now, in this area we have 3 wicker baskets which has some Greg's clothing in it, but they don't reach all the way through to the back. So if we pull them out, we have a back space here where we keep some extra kitchen items. So in this one here we have a few wine glasses that are too tall for our cupboards, some corn crisps and some tin pans that we use for our barbecue. We also have some items behind this one here. This is just where we house some additional pantry items that are in bulk, and then we have our blender top as well. Now the final item that belongs to the kitchen here is actually this drawer here. So this was a bit of a brainchild of ours. We use a microwave quite a bit because we meal prep, and we didn't want to have that taking up any kitchen space, and we didn't want it to look ugly when you walked into the house. So we added this drawer here, and thankfully we did, because with my fire skills I have managed to burn a bag of popcorn in here which has yellowed our microwave. So now you don't have to see that ugly microwave from when you walk into the house. We also keep our chopping boards and cheese boards along the sides here, and on top we house any wraps that we have. The occasional loaf of bread that we might have also sits nicely in the front here, so that keeps it off the kitchen bench tops. Now when we are using the microwave, we keep this bench down so that we can have enough ventilation as well. So moving on to everyone's favourite item of our kitchen, which is this bifold window here. So this was a very expensive part of our build. I believe it cost us around $2,000, but it's what made this space really livable. So we can open that up. Now I have got a plant there at the moment, so I'm not going to push it all the way open, but it gives us access to a bench top over here. So when we are entertaining, we can pass through food there. We can have guests sitting at the bench top while we prep food and still communicate. It also lets in a lot of natural light and a great amount of ventilation. We have made a DIY fly screen for that as well, which we can put up to keep out the flies. Thank you guys for touring our kitchen with us. We hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, be sure to pop them down in the comments below. We'd love to help you answer those. And if you aren't already subscribed, we'd love to have you join our Simple Life family. Thanks guys, we'll see you next time. Be able to handle stuff from the oven. Those chickens are making such a noise right now. Something must be happening.